Card Geeks. It is I, Nomah, back with another riveting episode of the Card Geeks. And we're here with my co-host and expert analyst, Hoosier. How are you today, my friend?
I am fantastic. I'm really excited for this upcoming episode. So let's dive right in.
Me too. I'm super stoked. And as usual, Hoosier has done a bunch of research and I haven't. So I'm going to express my opinion, and Hoosier is going to actually tell us the real facts. Although on this particular topic, because of my clinical background, I do have some facts kicking around in my head. But real quick, a couple pieces of housekeeping before we dive in. If this is your first time watching our show, welcome. Promise that we won't hold you up too much. We're going to dive right in just a moment. But just wanted to let you guys know my channel is Nomah Sports Cards. Hoosier's is Hoosier Pulls. And we also have our channel at Card Geeks Show. So if you're watching this on at Card Geeks Show, that's awesome. Please check out our channels later on in the episode. If you're watching it on one of our channels, just know that the days are numbered of us posting on our individual channels. We're going to start posting all episodes on at Card Geeks Show. So make sure you toddle over there and subscribe so that you don't miss a thing. The other thing we wanted to talk about real quick, other than that, if you could please like the video while you're thinking of it, it will really help the algorithm decide that we're relevant and bring our content to other amazing card geeks like yourself, is the very handsome Hoosier has on a very handsome shirt today. And we need to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we officially have Card Geeks shirts available to purchase. This will help out the channel as well as add an amazing looking piece of fashion to your wardrobe. So if you want to support us and support the Card Geeks channel and rock our merch, you can actually get these through our Sticker Mule store, which the link will be in the description of this video. So we've already had some people reach out and grab some. So we appreciate you guys so much for supporting us.
Yes, we do. And the one thing that we don't appreciate is that my iPad, only when we're on this recording device, this platform, does it constantly move around and change my background up. So if you guys know how to make it stop doing that, let me know in the comments. But without further ado, we're going to get to a very interesting topic. And I think you guys will really enjoy this one because it's a question that gets asked a lot around our hobby and around just the world in general, especially as we are seeing the hobby grow from being kids like it used to be to being a lot of grown-ups like us. Now, there's a lot of adults like us that are into it for the nostalgia. There's also some that are into it for investing. And then there's some that seem to be gambling on ripping high-end boxes or getting into breaks. And so we are here to answer the question, is sports card ripping gambling? And we'll just kind of take the tension out right now and say, in our opinion, it depends. It depends on your motivation for doing it, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, and so forth. But we're here to talk about how we collect, how to do it in a healthy manner, what to do if you're getting in trouble with it, or if you think someone else is. So, without further ado, I have a little bit of background in gambling treatment, but you have spent some time today getting some new data and some new research and information. So why don't we start with that?
So we're going to be looking at a few different articles today on sports card gambling and sports card addiction. And the first is from an author named Horatio Ruiz, who has written for the Sports Card blog as well as Sports Illustrated. So his articles have gotten a lot of traction within the collecting world. And he specifically talks about the addiction of ripping sports cards, not just the gambling aspect of it, but the need for people to be opening cards. And this is something that I've personally seen a lot, especially with all the forums and communities that I'm a part of within sports cards. There's people who will jokingly be like, hey, I didn't find what I was looking for today, but I really needed to rip something. So I bought this completely irrelevant product that I don't even care about, but I just wanted to open it. And that's kind of what he's highlighting in some of these articles. And especially with the boom of big breakers and the Whatnot platform as well, we're seeing a lot more addictive tendencies from collectors.
Yeah, and that kind of gets into one of the points that I was hoping we would cover, which is for me, a big part of this whole thing is, do you have a budget? Are you
Hmm.
staying within your budget? Are you open with your budget and accountable to someone else? It might be your spouse, it might be a friend, it might be a fellow collector. Those are three questions that I have. And then also, what is your intention? Because whenever we rip cards, of course, we would prefer to get a big hit. And it's interesting that we call it a hit.
Hmm.
That's referring to the dopamine hit, the adrenaline hit that we get that our brain is flooded with. It's also interesting because, from the standpoint of that we are gambling when we do this, one thing that I know from having done gambling counseling for a couple years when I lived in Portland is that random reward is one of the most addictive components. So if every
Mm.
single time you play the slot machine you win, it's actually less addictive than when you only randomly win from time to time. And it's the same with opening cards. When we don't get a good card is when we're most inclined to want to keep going. Whereas when we get a good card, generally we want to stop, but then sometimes we chase the dragon and want more. So
Right.
it's definitely all about that dopamine. And I think it's true. Sometimes after a stressful day, you want a little dopamine, and ripping cards does produce that for you. But again, for me, I enjoy getting cards autographed. I enjoy trading cards. I enjoy giving cards away. So there's a lot of elements for it for me other than just getting a big hit. And furthermore, my budget is a fun budget. We're looking for return on fun, not return on investment. So for me, I don't think that I'm gambling when I do cards, because for me, it's about community and it's about connection and it's about kind of nurturing that inner child part of me that really did enjoy
Right.
ripping when I was growing up. But I definitely can see how it would become that way for some people. And that random reward, if you, for example, if I started ripping hockey, which I know nothing about and don't even like, just trying to get a big autograph, that's clearly an addictive process, right? That's clearly a
Right.
gambling kind of process. But what did you think about it as you were reading those articles, as far as how it fits with your behavior and also what you see amongst other collectors?
Yeah, so being completely honest with the community and with myself, there was a point where I definitely had to take a step back because I was recognizing some really addictive behaviors within opening cards. And that was mainly when I started getting back into collecting. And an interesting thing about social media is that it's all fake, right? We see the best of people. We see people going on vacation and doing all this great stuff, which is good. But we don't see the reality of life through social media. And if we do, it's very few and far between. And the same can be said for sports cards. A lot of people are on Facebook, they're on Instagram, TikTok, and what you're seeing, and especially what I was seeing back then, was only the big hits being pulled,
Yeah.
only the massive cards being pulled, and from anything from hobby boxes to blaster boxes to fat packs. So that kind of influenced me in a way to where I was like, oh well, if I just pick up a couple packs here and there trying to hit something big, and I realized that I'm like, this is not the reason that I started collecting. This is not the reason why I enjoy collecting. It's because I love the game of baseball. I love, like you said, getting autographs. I love putting sets together. I looked at some of my old collections and I had just base cards organized in binders. And I was like, this has turned into something that is not enjoyable. And so I really had to dial it back and, like you said, refocus, and starting a budget that like really specifically helped. Starting that budget and seeing where every dollar went was really important. And then also just being able to say no when I was at the store. There was a lot of times where I would just pick something up because it was there. But after a while I was able to be like, hey, I don't need this right now. And especially with having a channel, it's kind of just been, I open for the channel
Hmm.
and then I buy singles on eBay. So that's really helped me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I would say for people who are struggling with the addictive aspect of it, but they don't want to give it up. Well, first of all, as an addictions counselor, abstinence, there's nothing wrong with abstinence. It's okay to just walk away from the hobby if it's hurting you or causing you pain. And Baseball Card Collector Investor Dealer, who's one of my favorite channels, I saw a story that he told a while ago where he went to buy a collection and it was just like all these cards that had clearly just been ripped and stuffed in a box and not organized in any way, but
Right.
there were no hits in there.
Hmm.
And it was like this older gentleman, and he was like, well, my son, these are all my sons, and he's away at treatment because he got addicted to it and
Wow.
was just ripping super fast, just looking for the hits and just putting it all away. So that definitely can happen. But if you find that you are spending more than you mean to, or if you are um, getting isolated with it, what I would recommend are a couple things. One is you can always start a channel, because I know for you and I both, the communities we built on our channels, and now we have a third channel with our show, that's been really enjoyable. And as we've discussed in the past, it makes every rip last at least twice as long, if not more, because
Definitely.
you're editing it. You can rewatch yourself opening it and relive the joy of hitting that card. And you also are spending time optimizing the video, making the thumbnail, and then interacting with people on the channel. The other thing that I really recommend is checking out Sports Card Forum or thebenchtrading.com, because there's lots of people on there who, for example, are trying to complete sets, or you might be able to, if you do build up a community of your own. Like I've got a situation where I'm not trying to complete the 25 Heritage set, but I've got a fan of my channel who is. So I'm about to trade him like 20 short prints for a Vladdy heavy lumber card,
Yeah.
and the heavy lumber card's worth about $40. You figure the short prints are worth about $2 each. I've got 20 of them. So that works out great because it's going to help him build his set. And he doesn't really care about having a Vladdy heavy lumber, but I
Right.
collect Vladdy, so that's fun. So there's a lot of ways to trade. You and I have a trade pending where actually I need to give you my half of it at the National. Um, but if you can find ways to trade with your friends, if you find ways to get more involved with the community, watch people rip. I mean, it's free to watch people rip.
Yeah.
And if you come to either of our channels, we're going to interact with you. You and I both answer all of our comments. Most of the guys that I watch do. Striker doesn't answer all his comments because he's just gotten too big.
Yeah.
But the reasonable size channel, Jabs and Striker won't. But like Peds, he answers everybody.
Yep.
OG answers everybody. Old guy is old guy with a
Mhm.
camera and a dream. You and I answer everybody. So there's lots of ways to enjoy the hobby. Like you could easily spend $100 a month on cards and still have tons of hours occupied by that. So
Absolutely. Hmm.
so just kind of wanting to offer some hope for people that are struggling but don't want to walk away from the hobby altogether. The other thing that you can do is you can send cards away. It costs you $1 because you need the outgoing stamp and the return stamp. But you can send cards in the mail. If you pull a card of a guy who's currently in the minors and you send it to him, care of his minor league team, 90% of the time he'll return it. The return rate with current major leaguers is more hit and miss, but the minor leaguers always will. If you can go to a game and bring your card. So my point is just that there's lots of ways to enjoy the hobby other than chasing a hit. And yet our brains are hardwired to seek that dopamine and try to
Right.
get that hit. So you're almost kind of like playing a little game of cat and mouse with yourself. One other thing that I'll just throw out there is I don't use credit cards. Like just in my life, I just don't use
Hmm.
them. About 20 years ago, when I was working on starting a business, I got into trouble with credit cards and I just started charging things that weren't really relevant to the business.
Right.
And again, I kind of got into that addictive quality of just picking up the tab at the bar, or
Hmm.
taking someone to an expensive dinner that I couldn't really afford or whatever. And that's just dopamine too. We're always just chasing dopamine. So something I tell people who have addiction issues is like, instead of chasing dopamine, chase serotonin, which is the calm chemical.
Hmm.
Instead of chasing adrenaline, which is like getting hyped up, chase oxytocin, which is connection. So like I'm feeling oxytocin talking with you right now because you and I are friends, right?
Hmm.
So those are all things that can be very helpful. But anyway, not using credit cards on baseball cards can be very helpful because then if you use a debit card, you or someone else are going to see the money. And if it
Right.
gets really extreme, just go to cash, put it
Yep.
$100, $200,
Yep.
$500, whatever your budget is, in an envelope at the beginning of the month, and then you don't spend anymore once it's out.
Yep, I was
It's
actually gonna make that exact point. That is such a good resource to use. Is when there's something about when you're physically handing over that cash for cards, you feel that leaving your hand, and you
Yep.
know immediately what you have left. Even even with a debit card, I'm not trying to get into financial stuff, but I do enjoy finances and
Yep.
financial discussions. But even that's something that Dave Ramsey talks about a lot is that even just with a debit card, it's so easy to swipe. So easy to
Hmm.
swipe and then forget. But with handing over that cash, there's something about it
Hmm.
that hurts us a little bit, to be like, hey,
Yeah.
this is my hard-earned money. This is going away. I know
Yeah.
what it's going to, and I know what I have left. So that's a great point.
Yeah. Here's my $20. I give it to you. You give me cards. Now I don't have the 20 anymore. As opposed to your point, if you swipe, I mean, the way that I get around that is that I reconcile my numbers every single day. So I
Mhm.
compare my spending plan for the month versus my checking account. And so that's how I get around the debit card thing, not because I don't want the negative reinforcement of my numbers not truing up the next day.
Right.
And that's just something I've trained myself in over 20 years. But whatever works for you, like definitely having cash. And like when I go out of town, having cash is very helpful because then when you run out and you don't want to
Right.
run out. So
Right.
you're just watching it. So I mean, again, I think that going back to the very first point we made is sports card collecting gambling. It depends. It depends. Like if someone is just buying singles online, it's obviously not because you know exactly what you're getting. Or if you buy singles online and you spend $100 on packs per month because you want the thrill of not knowing, that's not gambling, in my opinion.
Right.
Gambling is when you, to your point, kind of fall asleep and spend more than you mean to, and you're not thinking about the adverse consequences it could have.
Yeah.
That's when people really get into trouble with gambling.
Now
And
that
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it's kind of like when I was a kid, I grew up in Massachusetts and Maine, and when I was living in Maine, gambling was illegal there. But
Okay.
there was this ship that would go from Maine to Canada, like a little ferry that you could get
Uh-huh.
on, and you could just like go to Canada for the day. And if I remember correctly, when you were in international waters, you could gamble.
Okay.
So my friend and his family went on vacation to go to Canada, and there's slot machines in the restaurant, and so the dad puts a quarter in the slot machine with my friend's sister, and he goes, "This is just to prove to you that this is a waste of money," and pulls it at it jackpots. So like she learned, like, yeah, put my quarter in.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
remember when I was a kid, PAX cost 50 cents or Upper Deck cost $1. And I think it must have been in like 89. I
Mhm.
was working at a card shop and they had 1987 Donruss packs for $5 each, and I just had a feeling and I bought one and I got an 87 rated rookie McGuire, which was like a very good card at that time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, would I have been as happy if I hadn't hit it? No. Was I happy that I hit it? Yes. Does that kind of thing potentially create pathways in your brain where you're chasing that dragon? It could. So you really just have to watch yourself. I mean, it's are you enjoying the hobby? Is the hobby making you a better person? Are you showing up better for your family because
Mhm.
of the time you're spending in the hobby and the steam you're blowing off and the joy you're having and those happy feelings in your heart? Or are you hiding what you're doing from your loved ones? Are you in the dark? Are you just chasing that dragon? Are you not happy when you do hit a good autograph because it wasn't a life-changing autograph, When you get
Yeah.
that Corbin Carroll autograph, are you mad it wasn't a Shohei Ohtani? Like that, those I would say are warning signs.
Definitely. And it's interesting because there are certain companies that have developed almost like a predatory model of business. And that's what one of these articles dives into is the addiction to platforms like Whatnot. So this is from Birch's Health. This is an officially licensed counseling website. They have all kinds of doctors and therapists that you can actually find in your state for the specific issue that you're having if you are. And they actually have sports card addiction counseling now. So, but what I found that was really interesting is the way that some of these platforms have built themselves to prey on people who are more susceptible to this kind of reactionary, dopamine type hit. And it says that some of the live stream aspects is creates another layer of pressure on buyers as they interact in real time with both the seller and other buyers. And I previously have had Whatnot, and it I can definitely see how it's addicting because you can just swipe up and you're just at another seller's page immediately, and people are selling 24/7. And what's also really interesting to me is that you have to be 13 with a parent's permission to get started on Whatnot. So there's kids as young as 13 with access to this. And it talks about Whatnot swipe to bid. It allows buyers to bid with a simple, quick flick of a finger, to automatically bid higher than the last bidder. And it says this type of bidding can be dangerous because it takes the thought process out of the action and can quickly escalate to a higher than intended amount. And some of these auctions are 10 seconds long. So people get into just a crazy swiping frenzy. And I've seen it before. It's crazy. And ultimately, what the article is getting at, it says that this creates like a mindless bidding pattern. And then Whatnot also allows a buy now, pay later option. So you can end up financing your breaks through a firm or whatever it may be. You can pretty much finance anything now. You can finance your DoorDash, which I highly recommend you do not do. But the fact that you could get skunked on these breaks, get absolutely nothing, and then people are paying in installments throughout the rest of the year for this. This is insane. And I'm not anti Whatnot per se, but I have had the platform, and it just goes against my personal morals and things that I've seen take place on there. It just doesn't sit with me. So I don't use it. I don't, think ill or bad upon anyone that does use it, because there are good people on there.
Sure.
But I definitely see this really I think it's just really predatory the way that this is designed.
Yeah. Well, are we ready to court some controversy on the show?
Absolutely. Let's
I'll
get
say
it.
it. I'll say it. I'm against it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm against anything that disrupts your rational thought. I'm against the way that Topps is doing their, release day stuff now, because
Yeah.
I find myself getting in this position where I'm like, well, if I don't buy enough, then I'm going to be paying 1.2, 1.5, 2x of whatever the price is. If I
Right.
like the product, I'm going to wish I had more. But then on the other hand, sometimes I buy more than I mean to. That just happened with 25 Heritage. I
Yeah.
figured I love Heritage. I'm not going to wish that I hadn't bought so much. And then I did.
Hmm.
And, luckily I've got fans of the channel who haven't gotten any yet, who want to get some, and they trust me and they know that they're getting sealed products. So I'm going to be able to offload it and, invest it elsewhere. But I just got a really good box the other night and I'm happy. I'm content. I've opened enough. I think I opened 3 hobby boxes and a mega, and like that's enough. I don't need to keep doing more.
Right.
I would rather find a distressed asset like, you can get a 21 Heritage High Number box for $40.
Yeah.
You can get big
That's
leagues in the
crazy.
last 2 years hobby boxes for $40. Like you can just buy way more. And that's a topic for another time, is like how to bargain hunt for, fun rips. But
Right.
my point is that like anytime you use the word pressure, anytime there's
Hmm.
pressure, I think that takes us away from the point, which is to enjoy ourselves.
Right.
And this is why you and I both tend to stay away from really high dollar items too.
Hmm.
Like I opened some of the 3X MVP boxes and it was fine. And I ended up pulling a really good Mickey Mantle card that I'm actually in the process of selling. So let me know,
Yeah.
guys, if you want it, but to 10. And I got a bonds to 150. I'm not attached to either of those. So I'm going to probably recoup a lot of my investment
Yeah.
in those. But as far as ROF, return on fun, it wasn't there. I think this video will probably come out after Topps Chrome Black comes out,
Yep.
but I know you and I are both kind of eschewing that one because
Hmm.
it's 13 cards for $250. Like it feels to me like gambling when I am done in 5 minutes and I either got a big hit or I didn't. And that,
Right.
like if I spend half an hour opening a box and I have fun, even if I don't get anything, it's kind of okay. Because also
Right.
now I have a lot of cards to do something with, trade them, get them signed, build a set, whatever.
Yep.
But I I'm not saying that I judge those of you that are on whatnot, because if you can be on whatnot responsibly, knock yourself out. And I'm not saying I judge those of you who get on the pre-orders, because I get on the pre-orders. I've
Yeah.
got a channel.
Yep.
I want to get stuff on release day and I want to not pay a premium for it. But I don't have whatnot at all.
Hmm.
I don't trust myself on whatnot. And I only look for one thing on eBay, by the way, which is 4 out of 10 cards. That's the
Yep.
only thing that I PC. Everything else is either rips or trades because it's just too easy to go down the rabbit hole and just, I can't live without that. I can't live without that.
Mhm.
And I've had times where I even took eBay off of my stuff or changed my password and had my wife know the password. And I had to basically say, I want to get on eBay. And she doesn't care, but she wants to support me in not doing addictive things. So she'll be
Right.
like, okay, that's fine. So my point is that like I'm not in favor of things that make us like when we're tired and alone, which probably most of the time we are when we're on whatnot or on any like breaker channel.
Hmm.
I mean, I've been on the Dave and Adams breaker channel in the middle of the night before, and I just felt icky about it.
Yeah.
Nothing against
Hmm.
Dave and Adams or breakers or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying,
Right.
like, if you feel gross when you're doing the thing,
Right.
it's probably not good for you.
Right. No, yeah, I totally agree. And I think that that's just something that we're always trying to encourage is that do this for the love of watching baseball and collecting cards and connecting with people within your community. We've talked about it before. I'm connected with a lot of veterans in the community that we do this kind of as a stress relief. Guys that battle with, certain things, trying to just, get a little bit of a relief from it and find camaraderie together. That's just something it's just so therapeutic. And it doesn't even have to be for that reason, but um I just think that like you said, you need to be really intentional and always kind of be guarding yourself against what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Absolutely. Now, I will talk about positive psychology too for a second. So there's something called a state change that's
Hmm.
that's really important. Like I know that you were in the Marine Corps.
Hmm.
So like when you put on it would be weird for you to put on your dress uniform and then go run 3 miles, right?
Right. Right.
Why?
Because it's not what it's made to do.
Right.
It's
When you
I
put
mean,
on your
you have a
dress un
certain.
right. When you put
Yeah.
on your dress uniform, you're going to do a particular thing, right?
Right. Right.
When you also wouldn't go to a wedding in your fatigues.
Right.
Why?
It's like, well, first of all, it's for those of you who don't know, you will never see Marines wearing fatigues off base because they're the only branch that doesn't allow it. So if you see
That's right.
someone wearing fatigues off base, then you should call them out and
It's probably
tell
stolen
'em-
valor because they probably don't know
probably, yeah,
that rule. But
yeah,
my point is that like you don't wear like when you put on certain clothes, it puts
Mhm.
you in a certain mindset.
Right.
Like I've done martial arts since I was 14. Like when I put on my gi, I'm going to do a specific thing, right? Or when I put on my meditation clothes, I'm going to go meditate. Or when I, like, this is my Sunday outfit. When I put
Mhm.
on this hat, I'm getting ready to record.
Yeah.
Fans of my channel have said when I don't see you with the hat on, it's weird. Like they
Yeah.
don't like to see this, you know? It's weird.
Well,
But
it's almost like like a cartoon. Like they always have that one specific like piece of clothing or item that just makes them instantly recognizable.
that's
And
right.
for you, it's the City Connect Boston
That's
hat.
right. The baby
Iconic.
blue sock
Yeah.
hat. So this is a little bit of a tangent, but I'm going somewhere with this that's important. Something that my father and I have in common is the minute we get home from work, we change
Hmm.
like right into the sweats.
Yeah.
I grew up watching him do it, and I started doing it when I was in my clinical internship. I'd have on my nice therapist, button down shirt and everything, and my slacks and my dress shoes. And somehow, when I got home and changed into shorts and a t-shirt, I just felt it's almost like I was taking the clients and all of their issues off
Hmm.
and putting it away. And I like literally get stressed if I have to wear my work clothes too far into the evening, right? Or
Yeah.
in the morning, if you don't really want to go to work, the best thing to do is to jump in the shower and put on your work clothes, not like
Right.
sit around and dwell on it, right?
Hmm.
So here's where I'm going with this. I have a point here. If you have a box and you're in a funk and you think to yourself, I have enough money to get another box tomorrow or next week or whatever, and I want to feel different than how I feel right now. And you rip that box, you will feel different. Same as if you go on a run, same as if you play guitar, same as if you go to the gym. And it's also true that if you don't like how you feel and you go get drunk, you're also going to feel different. So, like, state change can be healthy or it can be unhealthy, is the point I'm kind of trying to make. But for me, when I fire up my iPad and I'm recording a video and I'm like, hello, sports fans, this is Nomah, back from the Ricardo Motivator for your entertainment. Like, I immediately, and I'm got my hat on, I get into like this interactive, fun space with my fans, and we're ripping cards, and baseball cards are awesome, and I'm having a great time, right? And
Hmm.
it doesn't matter. Like, yes, if I get a good hit, it elevates my mood and I get endorphins from it. But even if not, that 30-minute break from whatever was bothering me, it's a shower principle. Like if
Right.
you're stuck on something, go take a shower and it shifts. You know,
Hmm.
you you have that state change, and it can really, for me, because my modes are either clinician mode where I'm hearing about difficult things in people's lives, or entrepreneur mode where I'm trying to keep roofs over people's heads in the business.
Right.
Like, that's heavy stuff. So like if I have something frivolous and fun to do, it's great. So like that's the other side, is like if you're ripping because you like that whole like I need to rip, you know, like if you need to rip, you need to rip. If you have cards to rip and it's in your budget, then I have no problem with that. I mean, I have a family member in the hospital right now. I started my channel when I had a family member in the
Hmm.
hospital. When I have a family member in the hospital, listen, like I'm talking to my wife about it, I'm talking to my friends about it. I'm doing the therapy, I'm meditating, I'm doing all the things I need to do, saying, we did a long prayer for her earlier
Hmm.
today. Like I'm doing all the things. I'm not in denial, but
Right.
like how much navel gazing can you do? And then you need to go have a little fun, and that actually makes you better at
Right.
being a good citizen of your family. So
Right.
I just wanted to put a little plug in for like also like it's okay to just like want to have fun ripping, and ripping is more fun than buying singles because you
Right.
don't know what you're
Right.
going to get. It makes it fun.
Yeah, and if you guys aren't subscribed at this point, that was all free. I just want to let you guys know that was free. Okay, you are getting free therapy advice from a professional. All right. So if that doesn't do it for you, I don't know what will, because I absolutely love hearing your perspectives from a clinician standpoint, because they're so good, and
Oh,
I
thank you,
think that
man.
you offer such great advice.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, my clinical orientation is balance. And
Hmm.
I'm also a Zen meditation practitioner and teacher, so it's all about the middle way. You know, you just you got to have fun, but you got to be mindful of how that fun can affect tomorrow. And
Hmm.
I have clients that we're working on trying to get them motivated to exercise because they need to be more healthy, or they need to lose weight, or they're trying to have longevity, or they've got a health issue. I have other clients whom we have to like work on dialing back the exercise because they
Yeah.
keep hurting themselves, or they keep getting sick, or they're like spending so much time in the gym that they're neglecting their family. Like anything in moderation can be fine.
Hmm.
As a person in recovery, like I personally can't drink in moderation or use drugs in moderation, but I can be moderate about my recovery because I also know people who spend morning, noon, and night doing AA stuff, and like they're like they can't socialize or interact with people that aren't in AA
Right.
because they've
Right.
forgotten how, right?
Hmm.
And so like anything taken to an extreme is not the best. And when people who are trying to start a new channel, tangent within a tangent, if you guys are thinking of starting a channel, reach out to us because we're happy to share our knowledge. In fact, we became friends from me bugging Hoosier because he had a channel that I admired about how to help me with my channel. And thank you for responding and helping. But
Oh, absolutely, my friend.
so one of the things people ask me about when they're starting their channel is like, how much should I post? And I say, well, you should create as much content as you can without it taking away from the other aspects of your life that are important to you. And some people post every day. I post 4 times a week. When I have time when I'm on my game, I'm posting shorts on the days I'm not posting long form content, but long form, I try to do 4 times a week. It just that way the algorithm knows that you're being consistent, you're pumping out stuff. It
Hmm.
really helps your channel grow. But if I were to try to pump out content every day, I guarantee you it would become a slug. It would become something I didn't enjoy. It would become a chore. And what's so funny is the other day someone actually commented on I did a video comparison of hobby versus mega of
Yeah.
25 heritage, and they were like, "You seem grumpy in this video, and I've never seen you grumpy." And he was so right because first of all, this was before I got my really good box of heritage, which we'll have posted by the time you see this.
Right.
But I was annoyed because my favorite product was so terrible so far this year. I was annoyed, but
Yeah.
also I didn't really want to be ripping or recording. I was
Mm.
doing it and I went through a whole mental process. I was like, well, by the time, if I don't do it now, it's going to be a few days before I'm going to have time. And then people aren't going to be searching for 2025 heritage anymore because Black Chrome will have come out. And so I better, I'm like, you got to stay out of that because it
Right.
shows. And best piece of advice Striker ever gave me was don't record when you're not feeling inspired.
Right.
So if you're trying to like, even joyful things can become a problem if you're doing them too much.
Hmm.
So like just moderation in all things, that's my advice and just in life in general, you know, um, someone is single and they're dating. Like if you're having fun dating, great. If you're not getting to work because you're out too late dating every single night, or if you're misleading people and not living by your values because you're trying to date as many people as you can, like maybe that's not so good.
Hmm.
But just trying to look at what are your big picture goals in life, and then how do you hit those goals, and is the thing in question helping or hindering? So if my sports card collecting turned into gambling, it would certainly hinder my goals. But the reason I do it is that I just find it fun and I enjoy it, but also I like the connection and the community. Can't wait to go to the national with you.
Yeah.
And there's so many people we're going to see at the national. By the way, sneak preview, we're going to interview Zach Britton at the national,
Yep.
former Orioles great, who is about to open his own store.
Yeah.
He's been super gracious and nice. And like I find myself like texting with a big leaguer and like,
Yeah.
what is my life? This is so cool, right? So many great connections. But we've talked about this. I'm only going to the national for 2 days, not 4.
Hmm.
Why? Because the tickets, the
Yeah.
hotel, the food, and the money I'm inevitably going to spend on cards every day I'm there,
Right.
I can only afford 2 days.
Hmm.
Super blessed and thankful that I can go because I've wanted to go for several years. I can finally have the money to go. But like, you could ruin your life with anything. My wife, who's
Absolutely.
also a therapist, likes to say, if you give me a ball of yarn, I can ruin my life with it if I put my mind
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, something as innocuous as baseball cards can ruin your life. Or in my case, it's really given me a lifeline. Like
Yeah.
trying to run 2 treatment centers during COVID, trying to deal with like friends and family dying, like crazy stuff the last few years. And the hobby has really like kind of gotten me through a lot of
Yeah.
stuff and kept me like cheerful and like kind to my family. And those are the goals I have that are most important. So
Definitely.
it just depends.
Yeah. And it's also really important to plan too, to be able to kind of like just splurge when you want to or
Hmm.
when you're planning to. Like you said, you have to fly out, from Arizona
Hmm.
to Illinois. I live very close to the National. I'm only about
Hmm.
like an hour and a half away.
Hmm.
But I skip every other year that it's not in Chicago,
Hmm.
and I put away a little bit of money every month um, until the next national comes along. So by the time that it does, I'm like, hey, I actually have a little bit of money to spend
Yep.
and pick up some nice things if I want and just have a
Hmm.
good time. Um, but
You're
like you
gonna
said,
pick you're gonna pick up one nice thing that you don't know about, by the way.
oh man, is this well, I guess you guys are just gonna have to see.
It's not the trade. The trade is happening too, but you're going to pick up a nice item that you're not planning on
Okay,
right now.
sweet. I'm super pumped.
I'll just say that if you want a hint, just go look in the mirror and ask yourself, whom do I resemble?
All right.
I'm
So we're
referring to
talking
Nestor Cortez for
Nestor
those of you that are
Cortez.
new and you don't see it. But once you see Hoosier as Nestor Cortez, you can't unsee it.
I'm a professional Nestor lookalike. That's what I've been told. That's what's on my official trading card.
You can't unsee it.
Nope. I'm Nestor's little brother. So I'm definitely not as tall as he is. So
Not as tall and not as good a fastball.
exactly. I probably got a solid like 55-mile-per-hour fastball.
Dude, even I could hit your fastball and I'm almost 50.
I do not doubt that.
I'd be lucky if I could bunt Nestor's fastball for a foul
Oh
ball.
yeah. Yeah.
This reminds me, okay, I'm going to tell a quick random story and then see if you have anything else you want to talk about, and then
Yeah.
we'll peace out. Just a quick random story. When I first moved to Arizona, my father in law, who was my mentor and one of my best friends, he's Irish. So he was Irish. So he understood baseball, but he wasn't super into it. He knew how much I love the Red Sox, though. And the Red Sox came to Phoenix for interleague, and we went. And this was back when the pitchers still hit. And
Right.
Daisuke Matsuzaka comes up to hit against Randy Johnson. And for those of you that aren't Red Sox fans, like everywhere you go, the Red Sox are the visiting team. It's like they're the home team because there's so many of us,
Hmm.
crazed New England sports fans that go. So everyone's cheering for Daisuke. And Daisuke got a standing ovation when he hit a foul ball off Randy Johnson.
Dude, that's awesome. That is awesome.
It's like, hey man, you got wood on the ball against the big
Yeah.
unit. You're good. You're a
That's
legend.
like some of my favorite memories is watching like my favorite pitcher go up to bat and end up, coming through with a
Oh,
big hit. One of my favorite cards in my collection is a Mark Pryor bat relic. Because I'm
oh,
like,
dude.
we'll never see
Yeah.
that again.
No, we're really missing something with that. And one of my favorite cards in my PC is, I have a thing for 2022 Top Series 2
Hmm.
because I like to chase the short prints of the big three rookies in there of Torque and Julio and Bobby. But one of the underrated rookies in there is Spencer Strider. And
Yeah.
there's a short print. This is pre Golden Mirror. There's a short print of his rookie card where he's bunting.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's so
That is
cool. Like,
sweet.
I mean, and to your point, you're never going to see that again. It's so
Yeah.
cool. But anyway, well, what else, if anything, do you want to add? Because I'm mindful of the time. We've been going on for a while here.
Yeah. Just as always, let us know your stories, your thoughts, your opinions in the comments. We love hearing what you guys have to say. We always do our best to answer every single comment, specifically on the Card Geeks show page. we're not always going to get back to you super quickly, but we will make sure that we answer every single comment. Also, if you email us with any ideas, stories, anything that you guys come up with, we're going to get back to you because we love this community. Within the first couple weeks, we've gotten over 47 subscribers, and that's all thanks to you guys. We're so excited
Sweet.
for this channel and for the show and for the future of Card Geeks. So thank you guys as always.
Here. Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you guys, and we're always looking to get better. So let us know in the comments how we can get better. Comments like, you guys' faces look dumb. That's not a helpful
I
one.
can't help that. That's
yeah, that's just how God made us.
Yeah.
But if you do that, we'll probably pin your comment and make fun of you. But constructive feedback like, hey, you should do more or less of this. We appreciate that. And one last thing that I want to say, just as someone who is in recovery and who's been working in the helping space for a very long time, is if you are really suffering with gambling, like even just sports betting outside of the baseball card world, or if you find that you are spending more than you want to, Gambling Anonymous is an amazing room, amazing recovery space. Debtors Anonymous as well, if you find yourself spending money on sports cards or anything else you don't want to be. So those are just similar to Alcoholics Anonymous. They're anonymous. They're full of other people just like you. They're free and they work. So if you find yourself struggling in any of those arenas, please Google one of those things that I just mentioned. You can also look up the articles that Hoosier was mentioning. We can put those in the description, right?
I'll put them in the description. Yep.
But if you clicked on this because you're struggling or suffering with this, hopefully we were able to give you some tips to help enjoy this rather than have it hurt you. But if you need professional help or if you need fellowship, those resources are available to you. And we don't need to get into this right now because we did a deep dive when you interviewed me. But I shouldn't be alive, let alone having an amazing life. So I'm a big believer in those recovery programs and in therapy. So if you're scuffling or struggling with this or any other issue, just please know that if you're looking for a sign, this is it. You can get better and you can overcome whatever, even if you don't think you can. So just really wanted to share that piece as well. So, well, thank you, my friend. This was an enjoyable and enlightening conversation as always. And we just want to thank you guys so much for being part of this community and hope you're having an awesome day and hope you enjoyed the episode. So we will see you guys next time. And until then, keep on ripping. See you guys.
I think that was great.